Okay, so ladies and gents, if you can turn a little bit, face this way. You've got a little bit of me chatting, which I apologise about. And then we'll get back into some chatters on your tables. So firstly, a massive welcome. All right, things are going to be just a little bit different today. Just a little bit different. It's still going to feel like the summit. But we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into some things. All right. I would love to know, hands up, who's this the first summit? First time? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, amazing. Who's been to all 4? Team pretty much. Clive, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, second? Second, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, true. Third?
Yes, I'm third.
Third? Yeah, you've been, yeah, just about today, just about. Okay, cool. So you have an idea of how the format runs, and if it is your first time, I'm going to kind of run you through a little bit about what the summit actually, what the summit actually is. He says, there we go. But you can see them all there, but let me go through that properly. So what is the summit all about? So the first thing is, it's about reflection, all right? That's something we're going to really home in on. It's going to be a latter part of this today and something you're going to be really working through on your tables, but it is about reflection. So things that have worked for you in the past, things that haven't worked, you're going to share those kind of wins and failures on that table, and reflecting actually about where you want to be going, goals you want to put in place and where you want to go moving forwards. Then there's a challenge. There's obviously not a physical challenge. I know there's boxes out. Michelle pointed out earlier, there's no step-ups and box jumps involved. It's more of a psychological challenge. I want you to challenge yourself on how you think. There's a mindset side to this. And again, if you're 2 or 3 summits in, definitely 4, then you would have heard me speak or heard us speak about mindset quite a lot. So I really want you to challenge your thought process from what you would normally maybe think and believe to maybe what could be. And then we're going to go into share. So actually we've got some lower numbers today, which obviously is a bit of a shame, but actually it could really work well for what we want to do today. And you're going to get to know the people on your table really, really well, because I want you sharing a lot of information as much as possible, and hopefully more than you have done before, okay? The more you can share, it's going to help you, yes, but actually you have no idea the impact that it could have and help other people on your table. Then there's a learn. And hopefully by the time you leave here, you would have learned something. All right, even if it's not me, maybe it's people on your table, but there will be some kind of learning. There'll be an education element to it. And then we have action. Every time we go through the summit, there's always an action off the back of it. Okay, there has to be. It's all well and good having information, and we'll come on to this more later on, but we need to have action points off the back. Now, you have sheets in front of you, which I'm going to go into more information on later on, but that is going to be a very clear-cut plan for you when you leave here. You have action points in place. You cannot fail. You should not fail if you leave here with that filled out to the best of your ability, okay? And then, fingers crossed, if we have all that in place, we have that action, we win. Simple as that. Okay? That could be a short-term thing, hopefully a long-term thing. This could be something that actually you come back to. Not just in summits, it could be using these frameworks moving forward, monthly, weekly, yearly, whatever it needs to be. All right? This is not a one-time thing. Simple as that. Now, we have 2 very clear objectives for today. Now, the first one is going to be to assist you in creating a realistic, personalized plan to accelerate your results. And there's 2 key words in there. The first one being realistic, and the second one being personalized. Yeah? We hear a lot of things, there's a lot of information out there, which again I'll go into more later on, but it has to be realistic for you. It has to be something you can actually implement. Because if we can't implement it, you can have all the best information in the world. If it's not applicable to you and you can't implement it, it's no good whatsoever. And then number 2, we're going to teach you how to use these simple frameworks to be successful long-term, as I mentioned a second ago. So what will we be covering? The first thing is the power of mindset and importance of adaptation. We're going to be going into the truth, all right? The one thing truly holding you back. the ROSA framework, not actually ROSA, all right, but the ROSA framework, and then the ERIC audit. Now, those two things there are what basically you have in front of you. Okay, like I say, don't worry about that too much right now. We're going to go through that in more detail later on. And we, of course, have something we're going to be unveiling at the end, which I know some of you know about. I think most of you have kept it quiet. I'm not quite sure. But we're going to unveil that at the very, very end. Okay? Some exciting things ahead. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is the power of mindset and the importance of adaptation. Who knows what this game is? NFL, American football. Bonus, who knows the two teams? Oh, who's?
Seagulls.
Patriots.
Eagles.
Patriots and? Rams. Anyone else? Anyone else? Who in that picture is the most important person? And you two can't answer.
The ones on the side. No, wait. Oh, the guys who. Yes.
This guy? I reckon they're all like that.
Quarterback.
This guy? Who? Okay, quarterback. Which one's the quarterback?
One at the back.
This guy.
The one who. Oh.
This guy. All right. Yeah, the guy.
To the left. 32 something to the right.
I don't know why I got Spice Girl vibes. I'm not quite sure. But that is the quarterback. All right, is the most important person in that picture. Okay. Bonus points again. Who is it? Yeah. Okay. You have to keep quiet now. Yeah, Tom Brady. Right. So, and actually, that actually comes into my point. So, before this picture was taken, they would have had a huddle, and in that huddle, they would have had a very, very clear, probably quite complicated call. Something like, Anna?
24 to the right. 73 to the left.
Yeah, cool. Something like that. And that, it's not far off. That call, okay, that call will tell every single person on that field exactly what they are doing, where they are going, everything. Something they have practiced probably 1,000 times on a training pitch, okay? There's a very, very clear goal, very clear objective of that one play. However, sometimes you get to that, and even with all the practice that you've had, it's the wrong call. And you have to basically do something called calling an audible. Yeah? Anyone heard of that before?
No.
Yeah? So you call an audible. Essentially, calling an audible is when the quarterback changes the play at the last minute, depending on how the defense is lining up. So again, you have a very clear-cut plan moving into that line of scrimmage of what is going to happen. Every person does, but sometimes it doesn't work. You can see it isn't going to work. You have to call an audible. You have to change that play. Yeah? Dylan, it will sound something like... We'll move on. All right, we'll move on. So I'm going to talk you through a run that I did on Thursday. All right, there is a point to this. Bear with me. All right, now I went out for a run on Thursday. It was pretty warm. All right, my plan was to do this run. Run 10K. I was meant to do 1K steady, 1K at a hard, quite fast pace, 5 times through. That was my plan for the run on Thursday, okay? However, I felt rubbish, I had low energy and absolutely zero motivation. So that 10K run was me going to that line of scrimmage with a very clear plan in place, yeah? But I stood there and I was like, I need to audible this. This is not going to happen. I feel terrible, all right? A number of things went into it. I had a couple of long drives up and down the country. I had no real movement for 2 or 3 days. Suboptimal food choices the whole time. I think I've kept slim chickens in business. And then 2 days worth of alcohol. I know. I don't regret it, okay? 2 days of alcohol. At that point, what are my options? Yeah? Because am I really going to go out and hit this run? Maybe. Yeah, cool, I can still do it, right? So option 1 is push through the run regardless. Option 2 is going to be amend the focus of the run and manage my expectations. And then option number 3, he says, he was there, don't run, do something else. What's the right option there?
Depends what head you've got on. If it's Gizem's head, it'll be option 3.
Okay. Gizem's head is option 3.
Option 2.
Say again?
Option 2.
Option 2. Anyone else? 1. 1?
Between 1 and 2, because look, option 2.
You're setting yourself up for failure, right?
Setting yourself for failure if you go for 1?
But then, option 2, manage your expectation. Your expectation is so low anyway,
Yeah.
isn't it? So, yeah.
You never know when you get out there, motivation might come back. That's kind of what I thought. I can tell you now, it didn't. But the answer is it could be any of them. It depends, all right? It really does depend. You could push through. I've had that run before, and actually, as you quite rightly said there, Susan, you get moving, legs start warming up, and actually you feel absolutely fine. It might be 2. I might need to amend the focus of the run and manage my expectations, because actually it really might be a negative run off the back of that if I don't achieve what I set out to do. Option 3, don't run, do something else. Again, could be a really viable option. It might be actually that I ditch the run and go for more of a weight session. Yeah, for you guys in here, it might actually be that you don't do a hybrid, you go and do a small group or vice versa or whatever it needs to be, okay? What I actually did in this instance, he says, is option 2, all right? So amend the focus of the run and manage my expectations. And I think for you sitting in here, that's probably going to be more applicable. And the reason I say that is if you have a small group booked in, you have a hybrid booked in, a run club booked in, whatever it is, fingers crossed, hopefully, you're not going to cancel, you are going to turn up. But it's very important that you go into that session, or even during that session, you start to think about what is realistic. You start to manage your expectations so that you don't have a negative outcome. It doesn't mean that it's the right or wrong. This means that your focal point might need to change. So, the reason I chose that, as someone said, I still get to complete my run. I'm not setting myself up to fail. I'm reducing my risk of injury, because I've been there before. Yeah, I've been there. I've actually been absolutely shattered, forced myself out on that run, pulled my calf too many times. I have China calves, they're terrible, all right? Been there a number of times. But I'm reducing that risk of injury because I'm being more sensible. I'm reducing the impact that run could have on the rest of my training week, which is huge. So if I already feel drained, I already feel fatigued, food's not been great, alcohol, hydration, movement, all that kind of stuff, I could then go and absolutely rinse myself during that run. And I might get it done, but what knock-on effect could that have on the rest of my training week? Is it worth me trading off just that one kind of pretty crappy run, getting it done, for 2 or 3 then poor sessions off the back of it? Probably not. And then it allows me to, an opportunity to learn and progress in other areas. So again, it could be coming into that small group, you have a very specific idea about a weight that you're looking to lift on an RDL. But actually, that's not going to be your day-to-day to lift heavy. But your focal point could change. And you could actually be working on, well, that coach or this coach has been telling me about this, that, the other, trying to find hips back more, weight distribution in my feet, whatever it could be, yeah? My focal point that day could be to reduce that weight and come in and work on that. Because in a week or two's time, if I have done that, and I'm then feeling fresher, I have all the food and the energy to go, if I put the two together, I'm in a much better place, yeah? So although I haven't lifted heavy that day, that week, it could be paying off and be more beneficial in the long run. We're gonna come back to that. So 5 things I learned from that situation and many others like it. The first one, data and tracking isn't always the answer, all right? That does not mean don't bring your logbooks, all right? Say again? Yep, no, and I get that. I get that, and I used to be very much in a mentality, if I was going out for a run, I needed to know how fast I was running. I have to know. But actually, I've changed my mindset on that quite a lot. Where actually sometimes it's quite nice just to go out for a run because I enjoy going for a run, it's nice weather, and actually tracking those metrics could be not beneficial for me at that time. On Thursday, it was not beneficial for me. I didn't want to know how fast I was running. I didn't care. All I cared about was actually getting out for the run. Now, that's not to say that every single run that I go and then do forevermore, I'm not going to wear my watch. It's just that one run. I did not need to know how fast, how far. I roughly knew how far because I knew the route, but I just don't care. Getting the run in and changing my focal point was way more important than making sure I stuck to a certain pace per kilometre. It did not matter. And I would have 100% set myself up to fail. Okay? Number 2, changing the aim / switching the focus can provide you with a more productive session. So my aim in that session became less about the physical side, and it became way more about the mental side. Again, took all the metrics out of it. Time, pace, did not care. All I cared about was making sure that I didn't stop running. Okay, that's all I cared about. And I can tell you now, bearing in mind that I pretty much put this all together during my run, you can tell that I had some dark moments and I had to start thinking a little bit. All right, I had a lot of conversations and chats with myself. And this is a standard run that I would normally do, which is a really bad day. All right. So my only focal point was to not stop. And that was super hard, super challenging. Yes, there was the heat. There was the other things that I mentioned earlier, but that was a way more beneficial thing for me to do. Because we are working towards a HYROX in October. What happens if I turn up on the day of that event, that race, feeling pretty ropey? Let's say every time that I've run so far, I've always been tip-top perfect. If I've never actually run or put myself into a position where I feel really ropey, really tired, really fatigued, I don't know what it feels like. I haven't mentally had those battles at that point. I turn up on the day and potentially waste 5 months, 6 months, 7 months of hard work. So putting myself into that position, I know that if I turn up to HYROX October 27th, my legs feel a little bit heavy, I feel a little bit tired, maybe the food wasn't quite right the week before, whatever it is, I know that I can still get myself round. In a relatively decent time, my legs I know will get me there, more importantly I know my head will get me there. Yeah? Number 3, know when to listen and when to tell yourself to shut up. All right, this is huge. If you think back to that run on Thursday for me, the listening was me going option 2. Change the focal point, get rid of the 1K on 1K off. It was make an amendment, set myself up for success, not failure. And telling myself to shut up was at 1.5K in going, I could turn back. I could walk. I could stop for that car. It looks like it's crossing the road at some point. Yeah? There's another point I have to run past that normally if I was doing a shorter run, I would turn around at that point. And I could see it in the distance. I could see it was coming. And I was like, I could just go, I'll do a short run. I'll break it up into 2. I'll get it done on Thursday next week or Sunday, whatever. But I had to tell myself to shut up. I had to have a lot of mental chats with myself. Yeah? There were some swear words. All right? But I got through it. So you need to understand that there's a time to listen, but a time just to go, I'm making it happen. Number 4, if you can control your mind, you can control your outcome. Okay? Now, that run I did on Thursday was a 10K run, probably just over, but let's call it a 10K run. The hardest part of that run for me, both physically and mentally, was the last probably 1,000 meters. And it wasn't due to fatigue. It was purely because at that point, I'd almost convinced myself that if I stopped at 9, it would be a nice walk recovery for the last K. And I could sell that to myself pretty much. I'm tired, 9's cool. I've definitely got past that turnaround point at 2.5K earlier. I've already won. I could just have that nice, easy cool down, maybe even drop the pace right down. To go via the shops, get a drink, whatever, yeah? I can convince myself that it's okay to stop at 9. When actually, realistically, it's not okay to stop at 9. Because let's go back to HYROX as an example. It could be that it's okay then to walk that last lap going up to the wall balls because it might then help my legs on the wall balls. So those little blips, those little conversations, the little fights that you have in your head can actually really pay dividends long term, yeah? But if you can control your mind, and again, this is not just one event on Thursday, as I mentioned the brackets there in the slide from earlier. This is a number of different events that I've had in the gym, outside the gym, you name it. It's repetition, yeah? When we mentioned mindset before, it's all about putting yourself in uncomfortable positions more regularly. Number 5, the ease of momentum versus the difficulty of hurdles. Now, don't get me wrong, there was no hurdles on my run, okay? But I live in Biggin Hill, there were hills, all right? Now, what I mean by this, and where I was going with this is, when you're gliding along down a country lane, running away, it feels great. You're in a pace, nice and smooth. Relate that to when you're in a really consistent routine. You turn up to the gym 3 times a week, you get 1 sweater hybrid in, food's good, you're off the alcohol, you have some momentum. Acunics are all heading in the right direction. Yeah, feels great, happy days. Almost becomes, dare I say it, easy, comfortable. Not a bad thing. But then you come past the golf club, you go up the hill and it's like, oh, this is gonna suck. Yeah, it could be that blip, it could be an event, it could be a wedding you're going to, a holiday you're going on, whatever. It becomes more of an uphill battle. Yeah? Now, up that hill, it wasn't stopping moving. I kept moving, it was slower. So again, if you have that event, that wedding, that holiday, it doesn't mean that you completely stop. It might be a slower pace thing. You might be working towards that goal slower. And then when you come across the crown of that hill, legs are absolutely shattered, breathing's going through the roof. Yeah, you don't feel like getting back into that pace that you were hitting before. But if you keep moving 1 foot in front of the other, you actually find that you get back into the momentum phase that you had before. It becomes a little bit easier. But it's so easy halfway up the hill, 2 steps into that hill, before you see the crown of that hill, just to walk or actually stop. But actually, if you keep going, yes, it's slower, which we don't like. We don't like slow, we like fast. But even if it's slower and you keep moving, no matter how it feels, if you know you're heading in the right direction, you're gonna find that momentum again. You'll find the position actually where it feels easy again. Yeah? So bearing in mind, this is all going on in my head during a run, all right? Now, I want you to have a think. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes or so for this. Have a think, what is your biggest takeaway from that? Like I say, I've tried to relate that back a little bit to small groups and large groups and stuff here. Could be inside the gym, could be outside the gym. But I want you to think about those lessons that I just talked you through there during that run. And I hope at least 1 out of the 5 there can be applicable to you in some way, shape or form, yeah? So as a table, individually, in a pair, whatever works for you, I don't mind. If you can write it down, great. There'll be a blank side of a bit of paper somewhere. Have a think. What is your biggest takeaway from those 5 points that I just talked through? Yeah? 5 minutes, away you go. Okay, so ladies and gents, we're gonna be moving on. The very next thing we're gonna be looking at is the one thing truly holding you back, all right? One thing truly holding you back. In fact, you know what, before we do that, anyone want to share their takeaway from that previous bit? I'm looking for 2. And I ain't going anywhere until we get 2.
I'll say right.
Go on then.
My asthma.
Yeah? In what, yeah?
Sometimes it can be very hard to yeah, so like my asthma in terms of mentally getting through my sessions. I'll have weeks where I don't have to use my asthma pump, I'm totally fine, and I'll have other weeks where I'm literally gasping for breath after 2K.
Yeah.
And if I let that get to me mentally, I know that I'm probably not going to train that much that week, and then I'm going to go down, I'm not going to reach my goal. Whereas I can then control it and be like, okay, if my asthma's playing out, maybe I could go towards the weight training, because that's less of my cardio, and I can get a little bit more strength. Once I start to feel a little bit better, then I can go forward and think, okay, my asthma's feeling good, let me tackle a 1K run, see how that goes nice and slow. So it's just like, if I was to take that mentally as a bad thing and a negative thing, I was put it out to everyone else. Because I'll come in feeling sad, my energy won't be there, and as a coach, sometimes you guys feed off our energy. So I feel like that's a really good thing, like even whatever's out there, and whatever happens, just look at it in a different way rather than look at it as a negative.
Yep.
It's always a positive to something.
Nice. Love that, Dills. Love that. I need 1 more. Go on, G.
Looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I think everything that I do, I mean, Dylan would be my biggest he obviously pushes me all the time, but I'll come in and be like, nah, Dylan, you're doing it, no, and Dylan will be like, shut up.
I've never heard you say that.
We're having a large group, because I'll turn around and I'll put 20 kg in, I'll come back and it'll be like a 30 or 25, and I'll be like, what are you doing? But I think it's understanding why he's doing it, like he's seeing potential, you guys are seeing potential, and just seeing that in myself, and looking at the bigger picture, and looking actually I can do that, not that calm. Yeah, just looking at it in a different light.
Nice, awesome, love that. Okay, we're going to be moving on. So thank you for sharing that. So the one thing that's truly holding you back. This is a slide that actually we went through and I had on the I think it's the first summit I think we did. I think it's the first, I'm pretty sure it's the first one, maybe second, I'm pretty sure it was the first. It's not an information problem, it is an implementation problem. I put a thing out on Instagram about this a week or so ago and asked everyone, do you feel like actually you need more information? Or do you feel as though actually you have the right information, you have enough information, in some cases probably too much information, it just comes down to the implementation, yeah? And it was a unanimous implementation. It was not about information. Hands up if you feel that actually you probably have enough information either already or at your fingertips to be successful with where you want to be. Hands up. Cool, awesome, 95%, amazing. So it does come down pretty much to the implementation, which is again what you have in front of you. Now, even with the subjects that we've covered here at the summit, bear in mind this is only our 4th summit, all right? We have looked at goal setting. We looked at really tapping into understanding your why, long and short-term goals. We looked at the GROW model, which again, some of the bits that you'll go through later on in those bits of paper will remind you hopefully of the GROW model. The no decision tree, we looked at stretch goals, the impact loop, and making sure that your goals actually align with your values, which is super important. We looked at the truth behind a calorie deficit, we looked at portion control, 7-day averaging of calories, and not looking at it on a daily basis, controlling your environment, your BMR, your TEF, all that kind of stuff. We went into breaking bad and building new positive habits. We looked at habit stacking, the mammal, lizard, and human brains, habit loops, reward strategies. We looked at the 3 pillars of effective time management. And we also looked at mindset. So setting reward strategies, celebrating wins, motivation, not discipline, your future self. We wrote a whole letter to yourself at some point that you're going to be opening up in 6 to 12 months' time. We've gone through a number of different topics and a number of different, I guess, avenues that you could be exploring. Every single one of those also had what we mentioned earlier in that very 3rd or 4th slide. It had an action point off the back of it. Okay, so everything had an action. I think you would agree that if we did even 50% of those things, we really homed in on it, maybe even less than that, and you really truly actioned it, we'd be doing a pretty good job and we'd be pretty successful in some way, shape or form. But we still have issues, we still experience them, okay? You know it, we chat about it, you chat about your coaches, we know that we still have issues. It's not as easy as just kind of implementing stuff, and we get that. And without actually speaking to everyone here right now, I'm going to go out on a limb and I've listed down some issues that I think we probably still face. Lack of time has to be up there. Low energy, slower results than we would like, lack of consistency, potentially because the results aren't as fast as we would like, lack of discipline, unable to control our environment, negative mindsets, sustainable nutrition, goal setting, and saying no. Yeah? Is there anything up there that we're still struggling with right now? Anything else? Can you pretty much bracket it in most of those? Yeah? Why is that? Genuine question.
So like saying yes.
Because you like to say yes? It's a lot easier than yes and no. Yep, agreed.
Don't want to miss out.
Don't want to miss out. Yeah? Anything else? Yeah, Marilyn?
Yeah, setting my, I think for me, setting my own ways. it's difficult, like you've got that breaking the habit.
Yeah.
And I know I'm my worst enemy. I'm the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good intentions, but
Yeah.
implementation.
Yeah. And it is, like I say, breaking a habit, right? Breaking a bad habit. Yeah. Anyone else?
I think it just goes back to mindset, you're saying, because you're always battling.
Yeah.
You said something back to yourself to shut up earlier.
Yeah.
It's all about that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a number of reasons why, all right? And I actually probably can't tell you why. It's one of those things that hopefully as you go through stuff today, you'll figure out why, and you'll think more and more about it. But you have to be in a place where you're willing to accept the why and actually do something about it, which is huge. And what Marilyn said there is kind of you being at the epicenter of that is so, so true. I think it's hard. Yeah? It's hard. We don't want to miss out. Prefer saying yes, it's way easier. Saying no sucks. All right? It's hard. And if it was easy, it's the old saying of if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? It is hard. It is challenging. Not impossible, but it is hard. Yeah? Simple, not easy. The other thing is, again, my opinion, we are always looking for quick and perfect. Okay? We're in a world now where if it ain't quick, we're not interested. Yeah? It's like, I need it probably like an hour ago or yesterday, otherwise I'm not fussed about it. All right? And we see it everywhere. Everywhere. The other word there is it has to be perfect. Does it really have to be perfect? What do you think about that? To put something in place, to implement something, has it got to be perfect? No, of course not. Sometimes you can't know what perfect is until you actually start, because you've got to suss it out. Sometimes it's trial and error. And I can assure you now, if you're waiting for perfect, you're delaying yourself like a long time. You may never start that thing if you're looking for perfect. The biggest one is we want to believe that there's an easier way. How much nicer is that? Yeah? We actually want to believe it. So much so that we even convince ourselves that there is an easier way. There has to be something else out there. There has to be. I saw so-and-so, they said they ate Brussels sprouts for a week. And they dropped this amount. Yeah, probably. It's not sustainable.
Fad diets, you know.
Fad diets, 100%. We see it everywhere. Get rich quick schemes, quick money. Sometimes, yeah, they work, but we see it everywhere. Fad diets, nutritional myths. You could spend 5-10 minutes on Instagram and you've got someone telling you that red meat is the best thing ever, and then the next post will be, don't eat red meat, it kills you. Yeah, it's everywhere because someone's trying to sell you something, or it's a quick thing. Maybe it worked for them, it might not work for you. Training plans and programs. Every Jack and God knows what is in the training plan online now. Yeah? COVID kicked it up massively. There's training plans everywhere. Train with like a can of baked beans and lose a stone. They'll market it in any which way. But we think about it and go like, yeah, I've got a can of baked beans, it's cheap, I'll do that. There must be a quick fix to it, amazing. They got the results. They'll do some before and after picture that they've tweaked on some kind of photo editor, job done, yeah? Education and courses, another one. And this actually really resonates with me. So I said the thing that I should probably, that you don't know, is some of you don't know, is that I actually trained up to be a level 5 sports massage therapist. I actually then, after the massage, got asked to go back and teach the course that I took. So I ended up doing that for a while, but I still actually wasn't particularly confident in my abilities to actually massage. So rather than booking more massages and doing the thing, which was the hard thing, which was probably understanding that I probably wasn't as good as I wanted to be, my go-to was, well, I'll just spend money on it. I'll just book more courses, because surely that's the answer. Well, actually, it was the easy route. Doing more courses, spending more money, learning how to do cupping and osteopathic manipulation and stuff was just the easy route. Yeah, it might look fancy. My bank balance looked shit. And actually, it didn't allow me to get in and do what I should have been doing, which was just understand that I'm new to it. It isn't perfect right now, but the more I do it, it's going to be better. Yeah? We see it everywhere. So I wrote this. we allow ourselves, and I mentioned this a minute ago, in fact, we actually convince ourselves that there will be a magic pill. Because it's easier to believe that than it is to do the hard work. And before people start throwing stuff at me, I appreciate this doesn't fit everyone, all right? It's not everyone. It's not a one size fits all, but it's a pretty high percentage that if we just knuckle down and understand what the hard work is, we'd be in a much better position. And when we think about that run that I had on Thursday, we convince ourselves there'd be a magic pill. I convinced myself almost that 9K was enough. I almost convinced myself that the best thing that I could do at that point was walk the last K. Because I had that internal battle in my head. It was like, well, this makes sense to me. It didn't make any sense and I shouldn't have done it, but it was the battle that I had. So the question we asked earlier is, what is the one thing truly holding you back? The answer, what is it? Marilyn already said it earlier. Very likely it's yourself. We've already said the information is there. We're giving you the tools to implement it. The likelihood is, and again, like I say, not a one size fits all. I appreciate it's not always the way, not always the case, but it's very likely it lies with you. However, there is good news, because the good news off the back of that is that you are in control of it. Yeah? And more importantly, you have an opportunity to change it. Because if we all really truly think, and we get rid of all the bullshit out of it, and we put all the rest of it aside, and we get rid of all the excuses, and we really, really kind of narrow it down to the crux of why potentially we are not where we want to be right now, it comes down to you. It comes down to the choices you're making, the not saying no. It's easier to say yes. And sometimes, as we mentioned before in previous summits, that's absolutely fine to be at that place. Because sometimes we don't need to be marching and charging full head of steam. Sometimes it is okay, and actually probably more beneficial to take a back seat, chill out, enjoy your holiday, eat, drink, go to every single social event possible, enjoy that wedding, whatever it is, you should do. But it's understanding that if you really want to get somewhere and do something, achieve something, whether it be in the gym, relationships, lifestyle, work, whatever it is, it's probably going to need to be a little bit more of a realization that some things are going to need to be set aside. You're going to need to change some old habits. And in the back of that, it's just some real good old-fashioned hard work, some battles with yourself and going no. Okay, ladies and gents, we're going to get this underway again. The good news for you is that the time that you got to actually listen to me is pretty much over, all right? We're going to go heading into that bit where actually you can be just chatting amongst yourself on your tables, importantly with your coaches, all right? So, the very first slide of this second bit is this, which hopefully some of you will recognize, okay? And that slide is, we don't always rise to our goals, but we will always fall to the levels of our systems, okay? Which is really, really, really important and very true, all right? We mentioned earlier, it's not an information problem, it's an implementation problem, yeah? It's the system element of it, all right? Now we have something called the ROSA framework, which again is the thing now I would like you to turn your attention to it on the table there in front of you. It is the very first page. It basically stands for the reflection, which is page 1. If you then flip that page over, you have obstacles, solutions, and actions. Okay? So on the back there you'll see, and the reason that it's formatted that way with the arrows pointing down is I really want it to be clear that when you list your obstacle, and I'm going to run you through kind of what I need you to do with this in a second, but when you list your obstacle, there must be a solution that follows. There must then be, again, an action that follows that. Okay? Very important. It is linked. There is a process to this. Yeah? So the first bit is this bit. So that very first sheet. Phase 1, reflection. We have a few questions on there. Now, I mentioned the word challenge earlier. Okay, when we said about what the summit is all about, it was challenge. My challenge for you here is to go deeper than just surface level. And that's also why you have a coaches on your table. Because typically, and I think, again, this is one of the reasons why we maybe haven't extracted as much out of these summits in terms of the actions and the implementations, is because we think too surface level. So when we get onto obstacles later on, we will probably just write down time. It's not clear enough. What do you mean by time? We need to dive and dig a little bit deeper for it to be applicable, for you to understand how you're going to overcome it and what the action is going to be off the back of it. All right? We're going to get to that. We're going to go through this first. Or as a table, you're going to be going through this. And I am going to set a clock on it. It's going to be 10 minutes. Yeah? So we have, what have been your 3 biggest wins of the year so far? At the start of the year, would you be happy where you are right now? What 3 to 5 things have contributed to this? So that is really, really important that you think about where you are right now. Would you have been happy with this position at the start of the year? And then what has contributed to that, whether it be positive or negative? Where do you want to be at the end of 2024? Now, if your goal is short term, medium term, I'd still like you to think longer term, 6 months or so towards Christmas, okay? The end of the year. If you want to think shorter term, you can, but I still want the end of 2024, where would you like to be? There's a little list of things under there. So list specifics, characteristics that you may have, habits, your schedule, so daily, weekly, monthly, relationships, work, lifestyle, body composition, etc. So try and dive as deep into it as you can. Based on where you are right now, what do you need to be doing to achieve this? So you're setting an expectation for the end of the year, understanding realistically where you are right now and being quite harsh about it. And then what do you need to do to actually bridge that gap? Then we have why are you looking to make change and why now, what is different this time? I need you to be honest. I need you to think more than just surface level. I need you to be realistic. I need you to be open. And importantly, probably one of the most important things there is you need to be your biggest fan, but also your biggest critic. Okay? So 10 minutes as a table individually, get as much information down on that first page as possible. Go deeper than surface level, please. Away you go. Okay, ladies and gents, take a rest there for me. We're going to get on to the next bit because I want you to kind of keep the ball rolling. I'm not going to stop, hopefully, the flow that you're in too much, all right? 2 things I want to mention. The first is, remember, when you're doing this stuff, we talk about progression quite a lot, but there you go, you got it in there. We speak about progression, and we speak very often about it being better, there being more of something, always pushing on, all that kind of stuff, which is great. And if it is applicable to you, fantastic. But remember, that question, for example, where do you want to be in at the end of 2024? A very viable answer there could be exactly where I am right now. You could be genuinely very happy. That's awesome. You might not need to be any further along than you are right now. Maybe not this year anyway, maybe next year that thing changes. But being happy with where you are right now is very cool, all right? It's great. So you might be looking to then answer these questions with the idea that actually, what do I need to do to maintain where I am? So that I don't lose my consistency, my love of going to the gym, all that kind of stuff. It hasn't always got to be progression. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, if you got to a point where you couldn't feel it out or you got stuck, don't panic, all right? It happens. We were just saying, Sarah mentioned that actually it's really tough. It's really tough to reflect, and it is. And the first time I mentioned this before that Luke ever got me to reflect on something, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, all right? But actually it's extremely beneficial. But if you're not filling it in, I want you to ask yourself a question, why? So why are you not filling that one in? Why have you drawn a blank? You don't need to tell anyone, tell me, but have a think about it. Think why you don't want to fill that in, okay? Now we're moving on. We're going on to the OSA of that ROSA, so the obstacles, the solutions, and the actions. Again, a really crucial part of this puzzle. You may notice or recognize some of this stuff from that GROW model. I mentioned it earlier, all right? When we're looking at goal setting previously, the GROW model, all right? So we need to go obstacles. List 3 to 5 obstacles that you will face in your journey of achieving your goals. All right, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the top. Now you can do up to 5, hopefully no less than 3. If it needs to be, so be it. I'd rather you go less of them and fill this out properly than too many and go too surface level. So you're gonna think obstacles. You're then gonna go down. So off the back of each of those obstacles, you're gonna list 1 to 3 solutions for each of them. So again, let's say obstacle 1, we mentioned it earlier, is time. Remember, please don't just write time, try and be more specific. Time to fit in my extra 5K run, okay? Solution off the back of it, 1 to 3, ideally 3. If you can give yourself more than one solution to overcome the lack of time to get that 5K in, the more likely you are to be successful with it. Because if the first one fails, you have a backup. If number 2 fails, you have a backup again. If you can't then go and make it successful after 3, you set the wrong goal. Okay? And then you need an action off the back of it. So again, list 1 to 3 actions to be taken based off of the solutions that you have given. So if it is, I need to then potentially prioritize getting that running pre-school drop-off, what actions need to be in place for that to happen? Okay? So again, I'm going to break this bit into a 10-minute block because then you're going to have the last 10 or so minutes for the very last bit on the Eric, okay? Okay, ladies and gents, if you can turn to the screen for me. Again, just very briefly, going to run you through into this last bit. So this will be the other sheet that you now have in front of you. It is the Eric audit, all right? So we're now looking at 4 different categories, and all the stuff that you've put down so far off the ROSA framework should really help you with this, all right? You've laid the groundwork. This is now almost like dissecting the paragraphs, if you see what I mean, and coming out with bullet points. Very clear action points. So the first one is eliminate. We then have reduce, we have introduce, and we have create. Okay? So if you think about where you want to be at the end of 2024, if you think about where you want to be in 4 weeks' time, whatever it needs to be, what do you need to eliminate? What needs to go? What do we need to say no to? What do you need to get out of your environment? What are we eliminating? Then what needs to reduce? So not go, but what do we need less of? What are we reducing? We then have introduce. What do I need to introduce into my week, into my diary, into my nutrition, into my training, into my mindset, whatever it is? What am I bringing in? What string am I going to add to my bow? Then it's create. Now with create, it could be I need to create more time. I need to create something that I'm going to put on the front of my fridge or put in my training diary so it's staring me in the face every single day. There should be things that you need to create, that you need to make happen, whether it be creating, let's say, time or a physical thing that is going to help you with the other 3 sections. It's going to help you eliminate. It's going to help you reduce. It's going to help you introduce. This should be working towards your end goal. And if your end goal is past 2024, that's cool. Amazing. Perfect. This can be relative to right now, can be relative to long term. And as I mentioned earlier, this is something you can always come back to. This is something that you could do on a weekly basis. What do you need to eliminate from your week? What do you need to create this week? What do you need to reduce this week? And what do you need to introduce this week? It could be that frequent. So again, this should now be you putting bullet points down. And if it's not gym, it could be lifestyle. If it's not lifestyle, it could be work. If it's not work, it could be relationships. It could be a number of things. It could be a whole heap of things. But I will challenge pretty much anyone now and say there will be something for each one of those things. At least one thing that's going to help you. At least one. Ideally more. Okay, ladies and gents, we're going to move on to this very final little section. So if you finish just writing what you're currently writing, if you are. So a couple of things. First and foremost, hands up if you found that quite hard.
To get beyond surface level, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. It is. It is difficult, it is challenging. I hope it felt like a challenge. And you may still be sitting there thinking, actually, I've barely broken the surface of it. I probably could spend, and we probably could spend another 3 hours probably just on the wins alone from the very first sheet. You could go into a lot of detail. If you haven't managed to extract as much detail as you like, or you haven't finished, then really what you should be doing now is not putting it in a bag, putting it in the bin and forgetting about it. You should be taking it home and at some point in the very near future, finishing it properly and truly reflecting on it. Okay? You might even put it into a brand new format that works better for you. I don't mind. As long as it's something that's going to work for you, amazing. If you haven't filled things out because you found it too difficult, absolutely fine. No dramas. You might need a different environment, you might need more time, more space. But you might also be thinking to yourself, well, when I thought the word elimination, for example, eliminate, Tom, what did you say to me?
Cut out everything.
No, what did you say to me though? Oh, it's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a strong choice of words.
Yeah. I almost guarantee, you haven't got to tell me, I almost guarantee when you heard the word eliminate, take something away, you probably automatically, it got your back up. I was like, well, that's hard. Or, oh, I don't really fancy that. Or why should I do that? I don't need to do that. Well, what are you actually asking me to do? We're already trying to put blocks in place. We're already trying to talk ourselves out of it. So what you've got in front of you there is a really, hopefully, relatively clear plan of what you should be doing moving forward. If nothing else, you have a clear plan right in there, black and white, of what you are willing to do. Because if you're not willing to eliminate stuff, which you know you should do, then it's there, black and white. There's a reason you haven't written it down. And if you got your back up about it, there might be a real deep-rooted reason why. Have a think about that, okay? Now, we were going to spend a bit of time on this, but I'm going to kind of skip through it, but I'm going to give you my summary of putting this summit together. And I would like, again, at some point, it would be amazing if you could do this. Even think about it on the way home. Summarize today in one sentence or paragraph. Like I say, I don't need you to do this right now. Think about it. So if I was to summarize, I guess, what I've put together, it would be this. The results that I want to see and the position that I wish to be in requires me to challenge my intrinsic tendencies on a daily basis. That is a daily basis. And intrinsic tendencies, basically, that's my gut instinct. My gut instinct is to probably sit at home and be relatively lazy on a daily basis. I have to challenge that. I need to be uncomfortable and compete with myself. No one else, just myself. I need to trust myself, but don't always listen to myself. Yeah? We mentioned that earlier. Trust yourself, trust your judgment, but know when to tell yourself to shut up. Learn from my previous mistakes, there's been plenty, and control my environment. And the environment comes down to nutrition, the people that I choose to spend time with, the people that I choose to work with, all that kind of stuff. All right? Super, super important. Yours will probably look very different to that. Maybe it doesn't, who knows? But try and see if you can summarize it. And the reason that I want you to summarize it is sometimes it's a really nice way of trying to bring a lot of information together into one place. Yeah? Now, finally, the time that clearly everyone's been waiting for, the unveiling of the of the very special thing here at the end. Like I say, we've actually some people will know about this already. Some people are already a part of it. We've actually been testing something out, but we are very excited about something that we have coming up at the start of August, and that is going to be something called the T2FIT Members Lab. All right, there we go. It would have been cool if actually like confetti came out the back of the TV, wouldn't it? The T2FIT Members Lab, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of what this is. And like I say, we've been testing this with some members in this room to get an idea of if it works, what it's like, get some feedback, and try and make it as good as we possibly can when we launch it to the entire membership base. So what and why? The brief that we had, and this has been something that's on the cards for a very long time. Find a platform that's user-friendly and very easy to navigate, and that was purely just my request because the tech is not my strong point, all right? Allows us to streamline our communication to members and vice versa. So we want to be able to communicate things to you, but really important that you are able to communicate with us in a very efficient manner. Have everything in one place, as much as we possibly can anyway. So if you're looking for anything, an event, if you're looking for a link, if you're looking for something that's happening with inside T2FIT, it will be in one place. You go straight there, easy peasy. Build a stronger online element to the T2FIT community. We have a great community here at T2FIT, and something that when you come onto a busy gym floor, you can feel it and you can sense it straight away. Something that we tried to do with the Facebook group was trying to bring the online element to that, so a wider net of people can kind of become part of that. And you maybe get chatting to people that you wouldn't normally share a session with. The Facebook group's been okay, but actually we feel that this platform is going to be a much better place to bring everyone together. And because everything will be in one place, that communication will be a lot stronger. And even with the small amount of people that we currently have inside that program, it has been 10 times better. All right, so we're really excited about that. And then increase our educational offering in 4 main areas. Mindset, around training, lifestyle, and nutrition. Okay? I hope you agree that, and we feel that we do a very good job of the physical element of what we do here at T2FIT in terms of the training, but the additional education, which is why we bring in things like the summit, the additional education around it is something we feel like we could be doing a better job of, and we know that this T2FIT Members Lab is going to do that. Okay? And there's a number of ways and forms in which that kind of learnings and knowledge will come through, which I'll go into in a second. Ooh. Oh, that's annoying. It was doing this earlier. So this, believe it or not, is 2 pictures of the Members Lab. All right, told you, tech.
Is it on Microsoft Azure?
I don't know. We've got one picture, which is the calendar, all right? But no, you'll see, so bit by bit, everything will be in this calendar. All right, and you'll see it's very clear tabs there at the top of the main screen. You'll go in, you've got live trainings that will be in there. Obviously you can see Run Clubs Summit. If you need a link to a Zoom link, it will be there. If you need to look at anything, it will all be in one place, as we mentioned earlier. All right, it's a real shame that we can't get those pictures up. So the idea again is to communicate easily with the team and others inside the community. You can do that with an instant messaging system already built in there, super easy, all right? All T2FIT events, as I mentioned, and key dates and links in one place, even down to new program releases, unique bookings, all that kind of stuff. Everything you need to know to be successful with the online learning platform. And this is going to be something, we've built this out, and it'll be an ongoing kind of evolution of information that we'll keep posting up on there. We've been testing out kind of live learning sessions, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to keep flooding this platform with as much information as we can. And then you should never feel stuck again. We're going to have open offices, and again, monthly educational calls as well that you can jump on. They'll all be recorded. You can go back, you can actually watch them. Hopefully you'll be a part of them. So much like you are participating today within the summit, it won't always be a summit format. It could be very much online, and we want you to be there. We want you to engage. Okay, not just with us, but hopefully what you found today, really importantly, engaging with each other. Less emails. All right, hopefully we'll be up there as well. So less email communication, because we can keep communication through that platform. It will reduce the amount that your inbox goes ping, and obviously replacing the Facebook group at some stage. That won't happen automatically, but at some point it will probably fade it out, okay? We go live with this properly on Monday, the 5th of August. okay? So we have our kind of final run through and kind of big team training coming up on Wednesday. So we as coaches and as a team can make sure that when we go live with it, we can answer any questions that you have and basically direct you in the, well, allow us to direct you into the right positions and places within that program, all right? You will receive an email, hopefully not too many of them, but you will receive an email to create and activate your account. And any questions, please do let us know. When you get this email, or if you're speaking to people that have had the email and you haven't, all right, if you get it, sign up ASAP, get your account created so we haven't got to chase you. If you don't get it, please let us know ASAP after checking your junk so that we can get that link to you so we can get you signed up, create your account, and you're in. Yeah, and for those people that have created that account and that, created their account already, I believe, from what I've been told, it was very easy to do. I did it, it can't be that difficult, okay? Make sense? Yeah? So there's a lot of stuff to come on that, and we'll give you more information, of course, on what it will look like and how it will work for you, and more importantly, how it will benefit you moving forwards, okay? Other than that, job done. Good stuff, ladies and gents.